Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's episode, we're going to be doing something that I think is probably going to become a little bit of a tradition every time there's some changes, and we're going to be playing as many new things as we can. So I've created a roster. It is going to be the new, where are we now? All new, here we are. So we've chosen Zax because I think Zax is just the best commander for the units that we're using. Everything that's changed, so we've got in Maximus, Taria, Blindsider Eztli, Savria Safeguard, Crosshair and Switchback, and then I was trying to figure out what would best support these, so I think Zax is really powerful when paired with Maximus anyway. Having another ranged attacker for Taria Arsenal was good, so I figured that would be a good combo to put in there. And then looking at the other units that we've got, making sort of a Deadeye and Rickety Backfire edition seems quite sensible, seeing as we've got multiple range units and multiple things that will benefit really well off of rapid fire, so Crosshair as well. So hopefully this will be quite entertaining. When you choose our animation, I think we're going to go for the Moonfall. We do have Maximus in here, who is one of our legendary rarities, so hopefully get a nice animation on that. I think our game plan here is just going to be to have fun. You know, we're not trying too hard, we're not trying to be super competitive. I actually think this list looks quite good. It's not something that I think is, completely memey. We're not just playing, something pointless for the sake of it or anything like that. We're actually playing quite a refined roster, in my opinion, so hopefully we'll have some good games and have a little bit of success. So the reason I want to do this is just to test out as many new things as possible as often as we can. Ideally here, we'd love it if we were going second, so we get to try out the second wind assist. And also, we'd love to be able to pick up Stowaway. I've only had Stowaway once. It was actually really cool. I didn't end up winning the game, but it was awesome. I do think you have to be careful when turning your 5 drops up to 6 drops, because you could be wanting something like a Maquani Thicket or now a Switchback, and if you get a Defense Stone when all you need is a little bit of attack, you're kind of stuck there with no way of getting it to swap to something with an attack value. So you have to be a little bit cautious on that front, but absolutely a good assist. I really think that there's a lot of fun to be had in the game at the moment. The meta seems to be... aggro is still strong, by all means. It's probably at the moment still the strongest archetype, but with all these changes, it's slowed down a little bit. There's a little bit more counterplay. I did come against an aggro list that they got to go second, and that felt a little overwhelming because it just felt absurd numbers of units early on. But hopefully, that's not going to become all of the games all the time. So we are Zax versus Zax. We've got a mirror match. Okay. Now, what have we got here? So with this, given everything that we've got, I think Ion Storm and Corrosive looks good here. We want to stay alive. We want to shoot them. This all works. I still love Vortex, but I want to take these two. It seems like a fun matchup. And we are against last match, who's a level 71 player. So they're clearly fairly experienced here. This is the one where there is a little line of sight, but it's not a good one. So honestly, I think I'm going to tuck myself in here and just play our Maximus. I mean, probably just behind this cover. Make it as hard as possible for them to get an angle onto it, while giving us as many as possible. I think this is the new thing with Maximus, is that he's a lot squishier now, so they can get angles onto it, but not good angles without any anything that we can work around as well. So this could be interesting here. They're obviously going for that at minus 50, so this could miss, and if it does, that's really important for us, because we can then keep Maximus alive. Or, here's their other option, is try to play defensively. Okay, so they're going for the hit onto Maximus. Oh, they're going for us. Interesting. Okay. If they're playing a Maximus here, I was going to say that would be that's a bold call if they put it there. Around, more like here is somewhere I'd consider a bit safer. Let's see. It is Maximus, it is over there, so we've got minus 26 there, so what's the best we can get to on these? So I think this is actually the best position. The reason for it is we've got a couple of reasonable shots. I honestly think this is the one we have to take. Knock him back. We're going to move in here, get our attacks in, and move back. And then here, so looking at this, we've got a few options here as to where we can place it. We do want to be putting out as much damage as possible, and as it stands, they don't have enough to kill a Rickety, so it might just be that we want to play Rickety and start walling them in almost. So Maximus can get angles onto us wherever we place it. So let's just try and stop them walking in the direction we don't want them to go. In fact, no, let's go here, because this makes it harder for them to get an angle onto our Maximus. So the reason we're playing Rickety here is probably so that Rickety can just go in next turn and try and take out whatever they play in conjunction with Corrosive, and then we can either follow up with Iron Storm if we need to, or we can just take it defensively and just... Oh, sorry, take it offensively, and if we kill everything, it doesn't matter as much. If they Gravity Disc here, that's a bold choice. If they are, they could just be going full Maximus. So this is still reduced angles, reduced attack. Yeah, this is 100. Now they're going to get the improved attack here, actually, aren't they? 71. So one of these needs to miss. Oh, not quite. I thought that was fairly likely. Now we want them to play something in range of our Rickety if we go for that approach. If they go up here, we probably just start hitting face. We'll just Ion Storm this first, then put our Corrosive down and just start hitting face with both of these and playing ourselves out. Probably Eztli at this point. They've played Detonia. Yep, and what's their other 2-drop going to be? Because I figure here there's no world in which they don't play 2. It is Deadeye. So we can't quite get into range here, it's awkward. If we were slightly closer, we could get in and potentially take out both of these. Well, one of them and then nearly take out the other. But we can't, so I think what we do is actually just start pushing for captain damage. There's no world in which you can get both in, so let's just pop back here. Oh no, I forgot to Corrosive. Oops. That's actually pretty bad. Well, I guess we're saving that for next turn then, which is not what we wanted to be doing. We will play Blindsider Eztli. We'll place it in about here, because we know that Rickety is almost definitely dead next turn. So they are dead next turn still to Corrosive, but that was a mistake not getting the 3 damage in while we knew we could. Yeah, I mean, they can absolutely get Detonia to a position where she just hits these 2. And then, actually, we're probably dead on this front as well. So this may not have been the best approach. We've still got a reasonable sort of curve coming up here. So because we don't have any 4-drops, though, next turn it is going to be Taria, Arsenal and Deadeye, just to put that little bit of extra pressure on. Yep, this is the right choice here. They can kill Blindsider Eztli. Yeah, that was a cool death animation. Oh, because we're against the wall, they didn't realise. Oh, that's going to be game now. Like, that's very, very hard for them to come back from. They should have gone for that as the last attack, because I didn't necessarily realise that. It's something that happens basically if Zax can't push his target any further back, they still get the melee attack back. So I thought that that was still going to be an issue. And they missed as well, of course, which is always a bit of an issue. Yeah, so they're going for the 60%. Okay, they got that. So we're just going to be putting all the pressure straight onto their captain. We're hoping no defense dome here. It's Florio. Okay. Yeah. So what's the best angle we can get through there? I think there was a 16 there. There's a 16 just there. So this is 84%. We did miss it, but it's fine because we're going to just deploy... Basically, we're going to deploy these as far away from each other as possible. And over here, the reason being is that we want them to have as difficult a time as possible to try and Florio them all at once or kill them all at once. So a little bit sad we missed the 84% there, but not an untenable position. We've still got a good chance here. Basically, we either need Taria to survive or both Deadeye and Zax, because we don't have anything that does instant damage here, unfortunately. So at this point, they might actually have to be bombarding their own units, which is not where they want to be here. Because if they don't find a way to do it with Florio, they might just be out. Actually, no, they should be in a position they can manage it. But let's see what they can work out. No, not quite. Okay, so I think there's a good chance we have this here if they can't kill both of these. So they've potentially got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. 11 if they but they don't have enough cinder. So yes, they can only deal a maximum of 9 damage without crits. So they can take something out. We're in a position where basically if we move over here, oh, they're going. Oh, the crit. The crit means this takes this out, and then one crit over here takes this out. Ooh. They've got nano shield. Okay, this is interesting. So them running out of time is not good here for them at all. But what we can do is potentially... I'm trying to think about what's the best way of trying to take things down here. Because we've got 5 Cinder, so we want to play something out, and it's probably just going to be Crosshair and keep Taria safe. So what we want to actually do is just move ourselves into here so they can't body block us as easily. We'll just take out Maximus. There we go. And we're going to move a couple of things further back. Taria's going to move over this way. And then we're going to play Crosshair back up here, maybe? Let's play Crosshair up here. The reason we've gone for Crosshair is because with Taria here, we can move up, give it rapid fire, and then potentially get in range for a nice big attack. And if they don't kill all of our things, we can actually just use all of them on Crosshair at once. So Crosshair has the ability on her own to deal lethal here, which is what they don't know about our corrosive. Yeah, this is fine. We just want to give ourselves as many outs as possible, and I think here without a defense dome, we're in a pretty good spot. I mean, have they got enough damage? Okay, so they've got down to 2 there. So I think what we're probably doing here is actually just pulling things out of the way using our gravity disc and then using Crosshair to get the shot through. So we're going to move, if we can, we're going to move down here to get this shot, pull everything up this way, and then use that for the Crosshair shot. So I think we're in a good spot here. Yeah, it didn't go quite as well as we planned. The Nano Shield was a really good choice from them there. It worked out really well. Okay, so let's just Corrosive and Ion Storm everything first. We will move ourselves to here. Gravity Disc these 3 in this direction, I believe. Oh, does that give us a good line? Maybe not, it wasn't quite good enough. So what's the lowest we can get? We had 11 there. So let's go with -7, 77% to win. And we missed. So we'll go for 3 damage here. We'll play Savria Safeguard just... In fact, we'll place her... Interesting. Again, we just want to be as far away from things as possible, and then what we'll do is we'll place a mine up here, slightly away from that, with the understanding that okay, we want the mine to be able to hit Zax if it comes to it. I'm impressed that we missed that. So, do they have lethal here? Because they've got Detonia instead of Taria. This is Deadeye, so they've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13... I think they've got potential lethal here, so we need them to miss some things. They really are in the realms of being able to kill us if things go right for them. Especially if this is like a Bytol or something like that. Ooh, this is a bold choice, because I think this might hit their own captain. I can't quite tell. No, not quite. They're going against Savria? This is a really well played. I think we turned at roughly the right time. Okay, so they got the 1 hit there. So Savria's very close to dead. Detonia's going to kill probably both, because I don't think there's a world in which we can just get her, unless they move down here and try and get it at this angle. Yeah, so this is doable. And this also blocks Zax's line of sight as well. I almost think, though, they have to use Florio just to kill the mine. Yeah, they can hit Crosshair as well. This really is a sort of a desperation situation for them. We're just hoping it doesn't block line of sight too badly. Okay, more line of sight blocking. So we've got this angle here for 80%. There we go. Got there in the end. So that worked out pretty well, actually. That seemed a pretty good curve. Like, we didn't feel like a bit of a lack of a 4-drop. Maybe this is the sort of list that Axel Pyro could work in, because we've got 3-drop into 3-drop then. But that was actually quite fun. Yeah, count level up. We're getting really close to that level 100. Really close. So we're going to carry on with this again. Play another game. Again, happy with how it worked. Happy with my choices. We didn't see... sorry, we weren't going second, and we didn't see Stowaway. So we'd like to see, hopefully, one, if not both of these in the next game. If not, we'll see if we can fit in one more game, but we may not be able to. So we're going to just have a stab, see what we can manage, and try again, basically. But yeah, that was a really good success. Our opponent played really well. They positioned really nicely to try and minimise our lines of sight onto things towards the end of the game. Once they realised that we turned onto them, we missed 1 point earlier on with Rickety because we could have done Corrosive, got 1 extra point through, and I think that would have actually mattered. Because if I remember rightly, I think they were down to 1 there. So there was a very, very narrow end there. It was a very narrow sort of situation where we weren't actually able to finish them off, because I think they were only 1 or 2 turns away from turning around and just killing us. We didn't have that much pressure that could live through the amount of damage that they had on the board. So it could have been a very tight situation. Again, we turned at the right time. We went for the right approach. We decided to just go face when we had the opportunity, rather than trying to clear out the units that were a little bit more difficult. And for me, I think that was the right choice at that point in time. Again, I could have played it better. I could have done a couple of things differently, but it worked out pretty well. We also did miss 2 fairly just 1 fairly reasonable crosshair shot, and it also didn't give us as much line of sight as we thought, so that was a bit of an error as well. So the miss, obviously not an error. These things happen, but the line of sight, maybe we should have tried to pull 2 units instead of 3. We could have left, I think it was their Maximus or something to the left, and left a sort of a bigger gap in the middle to try and get that crosshair line of sight. But hindsight's 100. 100? I was about to say hindsight's 100%. It was like hindsight's 2020. You know what you should do once you've seen the results, but that's how we learn, and that's how we get a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to jumping into another game. Hopefully this queue will pop fairly soon. But all in all, I think the changes to the game have been really positive. There's nothing so far that feels like it's been a step too far. The player 2 advantage for the Cinder is now actually pretty strong, but I'm trying to still keep an open mind with that, because I don't know if it's too strong or if it's just about right. It feels very strong, but then it's a lot easier to say that when you haven't really got the sort of that full feel of the meta and how things have developed. And also, we don't have the statistics. The devs will have actual figures looking at the player 1, player 2 win rate, and things like this are much more complex than they appear at the front of things. We might just see it and anecdotally see a bunch of games that we've ended up losing to someone who was going second, but it might turn out that we're the anomaly, not the actual game itself. The other thing to bear in mind is that it also needs to account for the assists, and so the fact that the other player 1 gets to use assists earlier than they do, a Cinder advantage might need to do more than just balance the amount of Cinder. It might need to actually just reverse it briefly. So that's why I don't think it's too unreasonable to have 2 Cinder every other turn. Again, it might turn out to be too much. It might turn out to be just fine. So really curious to see how that goes, and hopefully we can find a game where we can test that out. So we're just dropping into this game. We're going to see what we can do with our all-new list. Ooh, we've got an Astra to play against. Okay, so this could be quite interesting. We've got something a little bit different. Now, assist. So I think here we probably just want to go Stim Burst and Disruptor. I think movement is so important in these, especially if we are going first. We don't know if we are yet, but if we are, we're not. Because basically what you can do if you're going first is use this as a way of taking out Astra's first Cinder Orb. So the Cinder Orb's a really important mechanic to take out early on. If you've got a movement assist like Disruptor or Vortex, you can often pull it out from behind cover, and combined with a Maximus can make an early aggressive play on their mana. So, right, so here, this is obviously, so it's a level 2 player. Oh, okay, that's a couple of mistakes in a row there, but that's the better of the 2. basically, if they'd have left it there, we'd have moved here and tried to shoot it. Because they at least picked it up again, it could have been worse, because them picking it up at least means that they get it to bank until next turn, whereas if they'd left it there, we would have shot it, they would have not got that at all. So this is going to be one. I've played a couple of games off of camera, and this is one of my first ones playing with the Cinder bonus for player 2. So I'm really curious as to what I want to spend it on, and there's a few options here. And personally, I think with what we've got, Taria and Rickety Backfire seem like a really good option to just turn and apply really fast pressure. Okay, so this again, they've just done the same thing again, which is unfortunate. They've placed it in range of their base. So our opponent, has made a couple of mistakes so far. They played, I played a Toxoid. So we can't necessarily kill Toxoid here, but what we can do is just move away, get a couple of attacks in, hopefully hit at least one, and then hide again. We're going to do this over. In fact, what we'll do is we'll deploy our units first over here. So we'll bring out Taria Arsenal just at the back, bring out Rickety Backfire a little further forward because we just want it to only be able to take damage from Astra if it comes to it. We'll move here and we'll take this shot. There's a chance of critting and getting that to succeed, but what we want to do is save all of our movement for next turn when we have Rickety Taria going on. So this could be Lifeline, I think. Cinder Infusion. Okay, so the reason they're doing that is they don't currently have another choice with what to hit with it. So we're going to be trying to deal with that. Okay, so this is going to die next turn to Zach's moving over. I don't think there's a world in which we can get Rickety in range of multiple things next turn, so we might even just play it safe here. I'm trying to decide what the best course of action is, because we obviously can't leave things around for too long, but we don't want to waste our resources either. Okay, the opponent conceded. I think it was a little bit of a mismatch in the skill on that front, so we'll queue up for another game and see what we can get from there. Unfortunately, I think as well, if I was that player and I'd made that same mistake with the Astra Cinder Orbs twice, I'd have probably done the same thing, because you just feel like, you know what, I've messed up this game, that's fine, I'm going to wipe the slate clean, try again, because they could have had access to potentially 2 extra Cinder over the course of the game, which feels like a lot in the early game, because it is a lot, but also I think it's clearly a learning experience for them, so we need to be mindful that, what we're playing a lot of the time with being a more experienced player isn't necessarily going to be the most fun experience for an opponent, so it's nice to just sort of be understanding when things like this happen. I feel like not shooting the Cinder Orb would have been a mistake, and for the purposes of a video and also for helping the other player learn, I'm not going to then hold back. I'm not going to make a suboptimal play for their benefit, because sometimes you just feel like that's something you need to learn and get used to. I've made that mistake multiple times, just to clarify. I'm not here trying to say I'm infallible. I've done exactly the same. So here, Vortex Beam and Status Field I think are our best options. Vortex is the best assist here, but we're going to take Stowaway because we want to. And interesting, with Medical Recall, later on in the game we can just pick something up we don't want and just turn it into something else, and I actually really like the sound of that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, we're going second again. So this is the one where they've got good line of sight. This may even be the same opponent, actually. So I think it might even be the same opponent that switched to a Zach's list rather than a Astra list, because they're the same level, and I feel like that might be familiar. I love Zach's voice lines. This runs on handsome. So this is going to be their Maximus, I assume? Yes. So unless we can get line of sight onto it, which we can't, we're just going to hide back here, and we're actually going to move slightly further back so that we can fit our own Maximus into the little gap. So next turn we can get rid of one of our 2-drops and turn it into a 3-drop, and to be honest, I think we probably do with a second wind. So we're going to pick which one we want to play first. I think here it's probably Deadeye. But yeah, so if they make an aggressive move here, that is a mistake, because we've got multiple units that can potentially come up and deal with that. But if this is a good play from them, this is the right sort of thing to do, I'd probably consider leaving it here, but they don't know if we've got a movement assist, so that could be coming this turn. Yep, both playing Zax, both playing Maximus into Deadeye. So I'm going to play 2 2-drops here. and I need to decide which ones I want to play. And the other one is probably just going away. So what lines can... So Maximus can get pretty much line of sight into anything I play over here. So that incentivizes me to try and see if I can get line of sight onto him at all with anything reasonable. That's minus 52, so that's not great. And then this Maximus can only really hit their Zax. And even then, that's not great either. But I think I want to move up with our Zax to just apply some pressure. So, ooh, that's actually worse than I thought. Okay, well, 16%, let's try it. Wow, we got it. Okay, well, we didn't deserve that. I can tell you that much. So that now means that they're really going to struggle getting multiple units behind here. So we're going to go with Rickety there. Taria Arsenal back here just to try and get that, that combo going for a little bit of extra. And then we are going to do this. And we have got a Snareling now. I love this. I love Stowaway. I'm really keen for this. I'm absolutely going to be trying a list at some point where we try and turn Maximus into Maquani Thicket. I'm going to call it the M&M challenge. So 63%, yeah, they should get this and be able to hide. That seems pretty fair. Also, the fact we've got medical recall is really nice because we can just swap out things that aren't as strong later on. This next turn, because we've got 3 drops now, we can just choose what we want to play and do so fairly securely. Over here, this is probably just not going to happen now because they're running away very cautiously, and it's probably the right thing for them to do. So it might even be that we try and come over here and get lines to their Maximus. Ooh, they hit our Taria. Okay. I didn't see what the percentage was there. I wasn't quite looking, but yeah, they could only really shoot our Zax here. And they missed. I suppose that evens out over Taria getting a few shots off. So, where are they going here? We're probably actually going to shoot with Taria and just recall her. Okay, so they've got the lifeline there. There is still a chance we can hit with both units if we've got a good angle. Not quite. And I'm assuming Maximus can't if that's the case. So, what if we just play aggressively? Let's take this shot here. Okay, now we're in trouble because we missed that. And we didn't leave a gap like we thought we did. So this actually has line of sight. Interesting. Okay, that works. I feel like now that makes me want to try and just... Oh, it's not enough with Rickety. Okay, let's... This is a really awkward situation. So I'm going to move over here and we're just going to try and take a bit of a risk and try and hit 2 attacks. Okay, that missing is actually a pretty big deal. So this now needs to hit, and there we go. It didn't explode, which is actually better for us as well. I think that's it, but what we are going to do is play Blindsider Eztli over here, just behind Maximus, I think, to make them have to move out in that direction, and I guess we move over here. Yeah, there we go. That seems reasonable to me. So the reason we played it over here is just to make sure that these things have to move out to get line of sight, and so they're either going to be having to move on to Eztli or Rickety, and next turn we have got the Rickety combo to go for the big 12 damage. Yep, so this is one of the options they had. They've used... Oh, they're going for Rickety instead. Okay. Yep, that's fine. The crit was unfortunate, but still reasonable. It just means they only have to attack one thing there instead of 2, but they still now don't have the damage to kill Eztli without a crit. So given that next turn we can probably just spend our Force Ender. In fact, we should, if we activate this, it should swap out Snareling, and Snareling should turn into a 4-drop. So we can see what comes out there. We are slightly out of range of this though, so it could be that we end up wanting to use abilities instead. And just getting some, basically pulling people out, moving in here, maybe getting some rapid fire, and that would do the job as well. Oh, we've got 2 extra Cinder though. So we can actually just play Switchback and call it a day if we want to. Or Snareling and Savria. What's this? Is it going to be Ion Storm? I'm curious as to what they wouldn't have played until now. Oh, Orbital. Okay, we're not going to be anywhere near that. Okay, so do we want to play 4-drop and a... 4-drop and a gravity well seems pretty good here to me, actually. So let's gravity disc these things as far as we can over here. There we go. We're going to Stowaway to get a 4-drop. We've got Amplifier Bytol. That's a really good one for this situation. So we're actually going to play Bytol just here, which then leaves this coming in for a big hit here. I can go for a hit over here. We've got a small chance of hitting that, which we do. And then we'll just pop a little maxi over here. And move over this way. And then I actually think we do Medical Recall Taria. And save that for another turn. Now here we're not taking anything from Orbital. We've got them sort of lined up into a corner. So I think we're in a really good spot here. They can, in theory, kill Maximus. Yeah. So again, it was a low-level player. I actually think they played really well. I'd say probably misplaced Orbital, but that's something a lot of people do, is place Orbital based on where you are rather than where you want to be. The way I like to use Orbital is, if I know that you're an aggressive list and you're running towards me, I want to place that Orbital where I know you want to run, or if I'm an aggressive list, I'm going to place it behind you so that you have to run away from me into taking 3 damage. So I'll usually maybe leave it hovering over 1 unit and make everything else struggle to move backwards. All in all, we've had a good look at the all of the new mechanics there. So we got to try out every one of the new characters. We didn't play Switchback, but we know what Switchback does. I'm not too worried about it. I think Switchback's effect being 6 Cinder is absolutely fine. I think he's more powerful than Makwani Thicket anyway, so absolutely fine with that. Not an issue with the change at all. Crosshair, again, having more attack than any other unit that's sort of at range early on. I think Crosshair needed to be 5 if that's the way that they're choosing to sort of spread out the power levels. So personally, I thought it would be more of a case of increasing power at higher things, but actually what they've chosen to do is increase the cost of the power at the lower things. So it's sort of, either way, it's flattening the curve between sort of 1 and 6 and just making it, it's not that big of a differential there, but having more Cinder available with the second wind actually makes that a little bit less of an issue anyway. So I'm kind of happy with the changes. Every unit that we played was fun. I didn't feel like any of them felt completely like gutted or like there wasn't any use for them anymore. Stowaway was great. I love it. It's not going to be a big flashy play, but in a game where it goes out a little bit longer, you can get so much value out of it just by getting slightly better units than your opponent can. And all in all, that was great fun. I want to say as well, we've also hit finally 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So that's a huge milestone for me. This is my first attempt at really doing YouTube ever. I've done some streaming in the past, but not really YouTube. I've only made Moonbreaker content. And given that the game hasn't got the biggest player base at the moment, to have 100 subscribers is absolutely incredible. So I want to thank everyone that's pressed that button. I really, really appreciate it. Carry on to do so if you haven't already. Like and comment on the videos. I love hearing from it. And we'll be trying to figure out a couple of fun things to do to celebrate 100 subscribers. The first of which is either going to be a live stream or a video where we do a winner stays on format with whatever list we play. If we lose, we're then going to play the opponent's list. If we win, we keep playing our list, and we're going to play that for a little while and see where we end up. So thank you very much for watching. It's been really good fun. I'm really happy with the way the channel's going, and hopefully you are too. Anything you want to let me know, drop it in the comments, and other than that, have a good day.